Hi, my name's Freddy. This is the third devlog you're watching for my video game project, The Sacred Song. In the last devlog, I've created a system that allows me to put sounds in the game very easily. We've created a combat system which allows a simple AI and a simple fighting mechanic, as well as destructible objects which create a sound when you hit them and which spawn little particles that just make the game feel more alive. Maybe you've also watched my speedrun of Loic and his dog Mori, and since I have them in the game now, as you can see, I also wanted to implement a system that you actually can interact with them, namely that you can talk with them. For this to work, I needed to create a few new sprites to show the different buttons on the controller, since you would have to press a certain button to interact with NPCs as well as boxes or shrines or similar objects in the world. I decided to use a very simple layout just to make it easy on the eye, and I'm very happy how the sprites turned out. I do need to use these sprites since the game will be optimized to be played with a controller, and since not every controller has the same layout, I can't just type X button. I need to show which button I mean, since PlayStation and Xbox controller have a different button layout. What you're seeing now in the background is the implementation of these sprites as actual symbols, which I can use when just typing a sentence. So if I say use the left button, for example, to move, then there will actually be shown a symbol instead of words. Again, in the background you see how my character is moving in front of this raven statue, and there's a little pop-up box which gives him a tip how to interact with this statue. So it tells you which button to use, and as you can see, the controller symbols are working, at least for the moment. Sadly, I had a bug later in the game which I will talk about later. Next, I created a little animation for the dialogue box, as I will be calling it from now on, and this little animation is just so the box doesn't just pop into existence, but that it actually appears and disappears, which makes it look a lot smoother. For that I used the Unity animator, and I hate that thing, so for now just keep that in mind. I will talk about this a little later when talking about my character again. As you can see now on screen, that worked pretty well, and I was able to move on to the next step, which I thought was crucial but was a real pain in my ass. As you can see, text is starting to pop up randomly on the screen, which is because I wanted to create a typewriter effect, which means that a few letters would pop up and not all at the same time, so it would seem like someone is typing the sentence and not the whole sentence would just appear. And I did that. I was trying to create this effect before I even started working on the implementation of what should happen if you interact with the statue, which led to a lot of problems which were quite difficult to solve. But eventually I managed to create something I was somewhat happy with. The biggest problem with this system was the bug I've mentioned earlier, and this bug happens since Unity doesn't accept the sprites as a symbol, but you have to type a certain code or a certain idea, so Unity understands that you want to show a symbol now, and if you use the typewriter effect, it types every single letter at once, so it types SPRITE equals 1, and only when the full word is fully finished typing, it'll show the sprite and not the letters. On screen you see an example for this problem. As soon as we reach the part where I want to use the left stick symbol, it just types sprite equals, and then as soon as the number as soon as it reaches the number, it only then shows the actual symbol I want to use. You might think I'll show you a magical solution now how I fix this problem, but I can tell you that most programmers will just find a compromise they're happy with. The first compromise I thought would be enough was this, that I just highly increased the speed at which it types the letter, but sadly I still wasn't happy with the outcome. At this point I was working on the same problem for almost 2 days, and since it's a really minor bug but one that pissed me off immensely, I decided to take a break from coding and worked on the dialog boxes, on the layout of the dialog boxes. I wanted to get them more in line with the controller buttons I already created, so they would look more similar, and the whole layout should be less distracting and less colorful. The result you'll see on screen now, and I also fixed the bug, or at least I found a compromise I was happy with. I decided to instead type not single letters, but the whole words. This allowed to type the whole code or ID, namely sprite equal a number, as one word, and it would make the symbol pop up at once. I'm very happy with the outcome. I really prefer it over the old system, and I also love how the dialog boxes turned out. I will probably keep them in game as they are right now. Now Loic and Mori are not only decoration, but you can actually interact with them, and if you interact with them they will talk to you. Or at least Loic will, since Mori is a dog. In the far future I'm also thinking about a system that you're actually able to pet Mori, but that's a quality of life, actually it's not even a quality of life change, it's just a funny little Easter egg that I would build in, but for now that's very, very far down the priority list. As you can see, I've already implemented a little change that makes Mori feel more alive. He actually stops playing his guitar when you start talking to him, and he continues as soon as he's finished talking to you. What I've talked about so far in the video was very new to me. I have rarely ever worked with UI and text messages in Unity. So I decided to work on something I have more experience with, and I decided to implement as a next step the healing function into the game. Healing will work very similar to what we know from Dark Souls. You will have collarbones of a raven which you can break, and once you break one of these you will heal back 1 HP, and you only have a certain amount of collarbones. You will gain more of them during your journey, but at the beginning you will have a very limited amount which you can only recharge at the checkpoints, which are called shrines in this game. The coding part for this special function was very easy, since it uses similar techniques which I have used before in this game, and I don't want to say harder part, since it wasn't hard, but the longer part was the creation of an animation. But this is also the part I like to do most, since as I've said in the first DevLog, I consider myself more of an artist than a programmer, and I love animating the main character. Yeah. The result of this animating process you can see on screen now. As you can see, to heal, the player needs to hold a certain button and he will stand still for approximately 2 seconds before his health is restored. At this point of the coding process, you have unlimited healing. This will be fixed in a second. And in the same step, I also changed that the particles that spawn when you destroy something, or also now when you heal yourself, not just disappear after a certain amount of time, but they actually shrink, which I think does look a lot better and makes a difference. Some of you might realize that the healing animation suddenly changed. This is because my SSD was broken and I had to reset my PC, and of course I forgot to make a backup, so I had to redo everything that somehow was related to healing. But I actually prefer this healing animation, the second one I made, also I have now implemented that when you are healing, that if an enemy hits you, or if you take damage from any source, it will cancel the healing. You can't heal while talking to someone, you can't heal when you are at full HP, and the shrines will now restore your collarbones to full again. So if you've used, let's say, all of your 3 healing actions, your 3 wishbones, then you can find a shrine and refill your healing actions. Next, I started working on an UI element that would show the player how many healing actions he has left, how many more collarbones he can use before he won't be able to heal again until he rests at a shrine. Here I spent a lot of time on a little feature that there would not only be a number telling you how many bones you have left, but you could actually see the amount of bones that you still have left. So you have a different sprite for 1 collarbone, 2 collarbone, 3 collarbones, and then 4 or more collarbones. I hope somebody out there appreciates this, because it took a lot of time and it really doesn't change the gameplay or anything. It's just a little detail that I'm happy to implement into my game. Implementing this into Unity wasn't that magical. A bit of coding there, a bit of UI rescaling and replacing here, but in the end that was a rather easy part. I have realized when implementing this that I forgot to make a sprite when you have no bones left, but that was an easy fix as well. The healing part of the game is finished. I can now say that the player, for example, has 2 max healings, and when he rests at the shrine, those 2 will always be restored. This system allows me to make it very easy in the future to implement an item in the game, for example, the player can find, so he can increase his maximal healing actions. So for example, he has from the very start he has 2 healing actions, and then when he finds item X, he has now 3 healing actions, and 3 will be restored when he rests at a shrine. So let's summarize what we've done since the last DevLog. We've created a fully working dialogue system, or let's say interaction system, which can also be used to open chests or interact with a shrine, or maybe pull a lever. We have a dialogue system which types words in a typewriter matter. We created a healing system which the player needs to carefully use, since he will not have unlimited healing available, and he will have to save these healings because he can only restore them when he finds the next shrine. Also, we see how much healing there's left. We have updated the UI. As you can see to the right of the healing UI, there's a second UI which will be used for the gun and the bullets of the gun, so you'll see what secondary weapon, and secondary weapons will be the firearms, are equipped, and you will see how many bullets you have left with that weapon. This will certainly be a next step we could work on. I'm not entirely sure what I will be working on. The first boss fight is still something I will have to consider doing at some point, but I am in fact a little scared of that. And the second big part I will have to soon face is that the player will have to change between levels. So I will have to start creating a save system. This means, for example, the idea is that you can only open a box once, so I have to create a system that the game remembers if the player already interacted with the box or not. The third big part I want to work on soon is that when you rest at the shrine, all the enemies will respawn and all the traps will be reset. Since if that doesn't happen, you could just kill all the enemies and use your healing and run back to the shrine, restore your healing, and cycle through the whole process again. And lastly, something that would be very easy to implement, I just haven't done yet, is that once you die, you are supposed to lose your currency and pick up when you reach that same point again. So now we reached the end of the third devlog. In the background you'll just see a speed drawing of the last UI element I did for the broken collarbone. So if you have no collarbones left, you will see this sprite, just so you know you are out of healing. At this point I want to say some other stuff. First of all, I've changed the format a little. The video was much longer than usual, but I think I prefer it this way, since then I can show more in the video, and it's probably also more interesting to watch if you can see more development in a single video, or more progress in a single video. Secondly, I've been told to speak more freely. I've tried that, but it's actually really difficult because if I make too many language mistakes, I have to redo the whole commentary again, and this is normally a rather big part of creating a video like this, and since I don't want to say my lines 14 times, but I also don't want to have 400 mistakes in my language, I probably will still have to take a few notes, and maybe it will keep sounding a bit like a school presentation, but I don't have any other solution for this at the moment. In the near future I will have to work on my master thesis and also on a few other school-based projects, so I probably won't have time to work too much on my personal projects. Still after that, so within the next few months, I will have more time to work on this project, which I'm very excited about. If you like my project, and if you like what I do, if you like the videos, please consider to share this video, or maybe even to leave me a subscription. You'd help me out a lot. Again, as soon as I will launch the Steam site, I would also be very happy to see you guys wishlist this game. As always, thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.